Andrej Karpathy, founding member of OpenAI and former director of AI at Tesla, posted this idea for a personal AI wiki that views and maintains itself. I tested it for 2 weeks and want to show you how to set it up. If you've been dumping articles into NotebookLM or ChatGPT, you've noticed a problem. Nothing compounds. Every question starts from scratch. This setup is different. The wiki gets richer every time you add a source and every time you ask it a question. I've been running this on my own learning notes. I'll show you the full setup, how to ingest sources, and how to query the wiki so your answers compound back into it. So let's look at Andrej Karpathy's idea together. It's a pattern for building long personal knowledge bases. Instead of just retrieving from raw documents at query time, the LLM incrementally builds and maintains a persistent wiki, and it serves as a compounding artifact. Now, you might want to ask, so can something like NotebookLM achieve similar results? I think partially yes. NotebookLM is less flexible to cross-reference different notebooks, and you don't get to store all the source files as locally. So the architecture is straightforward, 3 layers, raw sources, your curated collection of source documents, the wiki, a directory of LLM-generated markdown files. The LLM owns this layer entirely. And a schema, which is a document that tells the agent how the wiki is structured. And operations, ingest, which means you drop a new source into the raw collection and let the AI agent to process it. And second, query, you ask questions against the wiki. The important insight, good answers can be filed back into the wiki as new pages. Okay, now let's get to work. First, we need a tool called Obsidian. Now, Obsidian is a note-taking tool. I know what you're thinking. Oh no, another note-taking tool. Maybe you're already using Notion. But Obsidian is worth a try because it's made of markdown files. And markdown files has its own advantage in the age of AI. And unlike Google Docs and Notion, there's no hidden formatting files or proprietary stuff that's preventing you from transferring notes from one place to another. So you go to obsidian.md and download Obsidian to your local computer. And once you open it, it will ask you to create a vault. Now, a vault is just like a collection of files and your future wiki where they will be stored. You can give it a name, personal wiki, or whatever you want. And find a location and open it. All right. Then click on Create, and voila, you've done setting up Obsidian. Okay, so today we're not just using a new note-taking tool, we are using AI to help us build a personal wiki. So how do we involve AI? Now, I use Claude Code. You can use Codex, Gemini, or any other large language models of your choice. I use VS Code as my IDE. You can choose Cursor, Anti-Gravity, or any other IDE of your choice. Let's open the Vault folder using VS Code. Then I go to View and Terminal. So I have Terminal window open. Then I just need to type Claude. Okay, now we're already using Opus 4.7, the best model available. So how do we actually ask Claude Code to help us build this wiki following Karpathy's idea? Now it's really simple. Let's go to Karpathy's GitHub Gist page, and this will be included down in a description box below. And I would click on Raw. This is basically an MD file as well. Or copy everything, and then we go back here and copy everything directly here, and just say, I need to build a personal knowledge wiki that can help me compound my knowledge over time. Please follow Karpathy idea just attached. Now, I actually prefer to not add a lot of personalization in the initial prompt to see what it can generate, and then we can modify together. And notice that I have absolutely nothing pre-built in this vault or folder, and I'm just completely relying on Claude Code to help me build the structure first. Okay, now it's asking me, before I scaffold anything, I want to tailor the setup to your use case. Now, you don't have to answer all of them, but this will give your AI agent a lot more to work on and will potentially save you a lot of tokens. So I'm going to say, this is for research topics. Source type will include articles, video links, in different types. Let's start fresh. All right, it has built me the structure already. We have a Claude.md schema and the 3 workflows: ingest, query, and lint. We can drop sources in the raw folder, and the AI agent will help us create the wiki pages. And simultaneously, let's see, in the Obsidian Vault, we also have these folders created as well. Now we have the structure ready. So time to give it a test. Let's get some resources into the raw folder and to see how the wiki can be generated. And before we just do that, I found this Obsidian web clipper to be super useful. So I'd highly recommend you install the Chrome extension and just go to obsidian.md/clipper and then click on Add to Chrome. And you go to this page, and in a few seconds, you'll have it installed. So then you will see this Obsidian web clipper icon right here. Now, currently, I've been researching on the topic of how to ask good questions. Now, I don't intend this to be a purely academic research, so I want to gather both academic articles, empirical evidence, as well as wisdom from practitioners, that is, from YouTube videos or even podcasts. So first, I'm looking at an article from the University of Chicago called Asking Effective Questions here. Now, I want to clip this, so I'm just going to click on the Obsidian web clipper icon, and magically everything is clipped. So by default, I will create a clippings folder, but you can actually customize it to where you want it to be, for example, raw. So let's do raw and to see whether it will go to the right place. Okay, yeah, it did. Asking effective questions. All you need to do is change clippings to raw if you want. And second one is another article, Back to Basics, Guidance for Formulating Good Research Questions from National Library of Medicine. Let's do this practice again. Clipping, and then change this to raw, add to Obsidian. And boom, we got an article, abstract, and the full article here in the markdown format. Looking beautiful. And third, this is a highly viewed video on 9 habits for clearer speaking. Okay, now let's say what's going to happen if we clip a YouTube video. Let's do this again. Waited for half a second. It's really nice, isn't it? Wow, it got all the metadata, title, source, author, published date, as well as all the transcript. Look at here. All the transcript of video clipped. Again, we change this to raw, add to Obsidian. Now, instantaneously, we got a new entry within the raw folder, and then we see the video and transcript. Wow, this is pretty powerful. Now, what I like to do is I get my Obsidian on one side and my VS Code with Claude Code on the other side. So you see in VS Code, we also see these 3 different sources ingested. Okay, I have put 3 sources into the raw folder. Just ingest them in my wiki. Really important, after ingest, there's the query process, meaning we have to ask questions and interact with the wiki, with the AI agent. And then so there's a proactive human input in the process. So in the end, it's a wiki for the human being, not for the AI agent. And hence, my first research topic here is how to ask good questions. Wow, it's completed. It says ingested 17 pages created across the wiki. Wow. The 3 sources got 1 entity, which is the YouTuber's name. Concepts. Yeah, I don't know why it's not people. So this is something you can modify. I do see in some other people's examples, it even tells us open in Obsidian and try to graph view. Okay, Let's look at the left side in Obsidian. Okay, it's pretty cool. Let's open, okay, concept. Wow. Analogy as explanation. Okay, all of these are filled in by Claude Code. Bloom's taxonomy, used in Chicago, asking effective questions, knowledge comprehension. So I was a little bit confused why we have a sources folder if we already have a raw folder. It seems like a summary of the sources. It has cross-source and synthesis, open questions. It's a running list of open questions surfaced during ingest and synthesis, useful for directing what to read next or revisit. Wow, very interesting. A reading list. This is really nice. Structure for clarity. Okay, as you can tell as of now, you know you can further modify this to tailor to your own specific needs. But again, it's good to have your AI agent to give you your original design, and then you can modify based on an existing design. At least that's a good option for me. And if you already know everything you want for the wiki, then it's obviously better to write a comprehensive prompt from the very beginning. Now let's open the graph view. Look at this. It's easier for us to visualize how concepts are related. Now go back to Claude Code. What are the top 20% elements that determine whether a question is effective or not based on the sources? Okay, I've got the answers. Specify every component in detail, match scope to purpose, impose a structure instead of defaulting to recall, use a named framework, and vary the cognitive level. 90% of teacher questions are low-level recall. Variety is the leverage point. Leave silence after the questions. Okay, and then it says log to log.md. Want me to file this as a synthesis page? I'm going to say yes, please. So this is an example of how your question and answer from your AI agent can become a new wiki page. Okay, what makes a question effective.md? Let's see under synthesis. Yeah, exactly. Now we have a page here. So see, this is really convenient, right? You could argue that we can do all of this inside of Claude Code, but it will stay within Claude Code, and it will be hard for me to find all these different questions I've ever asked and the answers I got. Now let's try another question. Are there anything contradictory from these sources? Okay, now it says, yes, 2 genuine tensions and 1 surface level one. They all live between the YouTube video and the Chicago article. Hedging, signal of weakness or invitation to participation. So in the YouTuber's video, it suggests we should strip those filler words, like kind of, maybe they make you sound unsure even when you are sure. In the Chicago article, insert wiggle room clauses deliberately. I think these two are talking in very different contexts. One is teacher classroom context and one is a more business professional context. But it's good to know the nuances. Maybe I don't want this as a wiki page. So I'm going to ask my third question. This is a question I always ask. What are the most counterintuitive findings? Okay, very cool. We got 6. Pausing reads as more confident, not less. And about 90% of teachers' questions are low-level recall. And number 3, the baseline teacher wait time is under 1 second. When someone doesn't understand, don't restate it slower. Switch the analogy. Okay, I think this is worth a wiki page. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, index and logged. Let's go to under synthesis, counterintuitive findings. Okay, nicely logged here. Very cool. They have all these different hyperlinked references to different pages. Let's see the graph overview. I think this view is pretty cool, but maybe not immediately helpful when I only have just a couple of sources. Perhaps when I have hundreds of different sources, this graph may help me surface connections I never thought before. Slightly different from my original expectations, using this personal wiki structure allowed me to have more in-depth thinking and really pause and reflect on what I've learned. Okay, But I guess it's really important to remind myself that we're not trying to build something fancy looking to present to others, but we're using this tool for us, the human being, to learn and process better. On that front, I think it's a pretty useful tool to give it a try. And let me know whether it's helpful to you or in what way helpful to you. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.